Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are going to be looking at the Phylum Arthropods. So what are arthropods? The word arthro simply means jointed, then pod simply means legs. So arthropods by definition are defined as animals with jointed appendages. So appendages are the legs. So this is what we refer to as arthropods. So they are also made up of exoskeleton, which is the skeleton found outside their body. This exoskeleton is very important for various functions. Before we look at the functions, we must know what this exoskeleton is made up of. So this exoskeleton is made up of chitin and proteins. So these are the things that make up the exoskeleton. What is the function? So as you can see, this whole thing, this is the exoskeleton. So the skeleton of, basically the skeleton of arthropods. So the function of the exoskeleton is that it is useful for support, number one, support, and also protection. So we know what the function of the skeleton is. It is support and protection. Other functions include that it also offers what we call muscle attachment. So muscles will attach to the exoskeleton. So as you can see, even the limbs will be able to attach to the skeleton like that. Then the other function is that it is useful to prevent what we call desiccation. So desiccation, by definition, is drying up. So this is done by preventing water loss. Now this water loss is prevented by the layer which we call cuticle. So cuticle is a shiny layer that exoskeletons have that prevents the water loss through desiccation. Let's write these functions. So just as we said, this exoskeleton is made up of chitin and proteins. So it prevents desiccation, which is water loss through evaporation. It also helps in offering structural support and also muscle attachment. Now, the other important question that you might wonder is, how do they grow? So they do not grow normally like human beings do, because they have an exoskeleton, and if the skeleton is found outside, how do they grow? So they have to undergo the process which we call ecdysis, which is simply the shedding off of the exoskeleton. Ecdysis is also known as molting. So by definition, we have ecdysis is the shedding off of the exoskeleton with the help of the enzyme ecdysone, like that. So this is what we call ecdysis. So the other alternative term is molting, but you just have to know. You know how they would want to complicate things. They might ask you for that and you might not know. So that is ecdysis. So now this is the process of ecdysis. So as you can see, the grasshopper has removed its body like that. So this is basically ecdysis or molting. So as you can see, it will shed off its exoskeleton like that and begin to grow back. So that is what we call ecdysis. So the other important characteristic of arthropods is that they are made up of segments. So they are made up of segments. As you can see, we have the head, the thorax, we have the abdomen like that. They are made up of segments. So all of them are made up of segments like that. So that is the characteristic of arthropods. So as you can see, all of them are made up of segments. The other characteristic is that they are bilaterally symmetrical. So what do we mean by bilaterally? Bilaterally symmetrical simply means you can cut them into two equal pieces like that. So as you can see, the other half will look exactly the same. If you were to cut even the spider at the middle like that, That is what we refer to as bilaterally symmetrical. So now the layers are, we have the outer layer which we call the epicuticle, then the middle, you can think of middle, so it will start with a M, which will be your mesoderm, or rather mesodermis. Then the downward one is what we call the epidermis. So remember, the cuticle is the one that is found on top, so we are going to call it the epicuticle, and this epicuticle is responsible for preventing water loss. So as you can see, this, you must know this arrangement: epicuticle, mesodermis, and epidermis. So that is the review on the introduction to arthropods. In the next one, we are going to look at the classes. So remember, these arthropods this is a phylum. So this phylum can now be divided into a class. Different classes such as Insecta, Arachnids. So like for example, the representatives here are such that if you look at the spider, this is Arachnid. The insects, there we have the crustaceans, and among other things. See you in the next tutorial.